Imagine reaching into your pocket right now, pulling out a small coin, and realizing that the piece of metal resting in your palm could be worth more than your entire retirement. It sounds impossible. After all, coins are just money, something we spend without thinking. But collectors across America have been stunned by a particular coin that has quietly shocked the numismatic world. A coin that in rare circumstances has sold for worth $1,500 or more. And here's the truly unbelievable part. That coin could be sitting unnoticed in a jar of spare change, hiding in an old collection, or even mixed among the coins in your pocket right now. The coin at the center of this story is the 1968 British 10 new pence. At first glance, it doesn't look like treasure. It looks like a simple silver-colored coin from the United Kingdom. Something a tourist might bring home in their wallet after a trip to London. Something that might end up tossed into a drawer with other foreign coins. Something that most people would barely glance at before forgetting about it, but as collectors have learned over the years, the smallest details on this coin can turn it from a simple piece of change into something truly remarkable. And the stories of how these coins are discovered are almost always the same, completely accidental. One of the most fascinating discoveries started in a small antique shop in Colorado. A man browsing through a tray of world coins noticed a familiar portrait on a larger silver coin. It was the young face of Queen Elizabeth II, surrounded by elegant lettering. The coin was marked 10 new pence and dated 1968. The shop owner had priced it at 50 cents. The buyer almost didn't purchase it. After all, it was just another foreign coin among hundreds in the tray. But something about its condition caught his eye. The metal surface still carried a subtle shine, almost like it had barely circulated, so he bought it. That small decision would lead to an incredible surprise, because the 1968 10 new pence coin holds a fascinating place in history. In fact, the year 1968 marked an important transition in British currency. Britain was preparing for decimalization, a massive change to the monetary system that would replace the complicated pounds, shillings, and pence structure with a simpler decimal format. To prepare for that change, the Royal Mint began introducing coins early. One of those coins was the 10 new pence. What made the coin particularly interesting is that it was struck in the same size and composition as the older 2-shilling coin it was meant to replace. This meant the coin was larger than most modern coins, measuring around 28.5 millimeters across and made from copper nickel, giving it a cool silvery appearance. When you hold one in your hand, it feels solid and substantial. The edge has a milled texture, the kind that catches slightly against your fingertips as you turn the coin under the light. On the front, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II appears young and regal. The engraving is incredibly detailed. Every strand of hair in the crown, every curve of the royal profile, carefully sculpted into the metal. Around the edge are the words Elizabeth Trude Grazia Regina FD. On the reverse side sits a crowned lion standing proudly atop the royal crown, a powerful symbol of Britain's heritage. Beneath it are the words 10 new pence and the date, but here's where things start to get interesting. While millions of these coins were produced, collectors have discovered that certain versions from 1968 display unusual characteristics, tiny minting anomalies, slight variations in strike quality, rare errors that slipped through the minting process decades ago, and those differences can dramatically change the coin's value. Back in Colorado, the man who purchased that 50-cent coin decided to examine it more closely once he returned home. He placed it under a bright desk lamp and grabbed a magnifying glass. At first everything looked normal, but then he noticed something unusual. The lettering near the rim appeared slightly doubled, not dramatically, but enough that each letter seemed to carry a faint shadow beside it. The lion design also appeared unusually sharp, with details that looked almost freshly struck. Curious, he took the coin to a professional dealer. The dealer examined the coin carefully, tilting it under a light, studying the surface for several minutes. Then he looked up with a smile, because the coin showed signs of a double die error. Double dies occur during the creation of the metal dies used to stamp coins. If the design is impressed onto the die more than once at slightly different angles, the resulting coins carry subtle duplicated details. It's one of the most famous types of mint errors collectors search for. And when it appears on a historic coin like the 1968 10 new pence, collectors take notice. But that's only one of the reasons these coins can become valuable. Condition plays an enormous role. Many 1968 coins circulated heavily for decades, bouncing through cash registers, pockets, and vending machines across Britain and eventually around the world. Most show heavy wear. The lion's features become smooth. The queen's portrait loses its sharpness. The once bright metal dulls into a gray tone, but occasionally a coin survives in extraordinary condition. Collectors call these coins mint state examples. When held under light, the surface still reflects the soft shimmering lines created during the minting process. It's almost like the coin has been frozen in time. Those are the coins collectors chase. Auction houses have seen dramatic bidding wars over high-grade examples of early decimal coins like the 1968 10 new pence. One particularly well-preserved coin graded in near-perfect condition surprised collectors when it sold for more than $1,200. Another coin featuring an unusual off-center strike brought several $100s at auction, simply because of its striking visual error. Moments like that ripple through the coin collecting world, because every time a rare example surfaces, it proves something exciting. These coins are still out there. They weren't locked away in vaults or minted in tiny quantities for collectors. They were everyday money. They passed through thousands of hands. They traveled across continents. Tourists carried them home in their pockets. Children saved them in piggy banks. Families tossed them into jars alongside American coins. Right now, somewhere in the world, a forgotten box of coins sits in an attic. Inside that box might be a handful of foreign coins from long-ago vacations. Among them could be a 1968 10 new pence. To most people it looks ordinary, but to someone who knows what to look for, the tiny details tell a different story. The sharpness of the lion's mane, the crisp edges of the crown, the spacing of the lettering, the faint signs of doubling that only reveal themselves when the coin catches the light at just the right angle. Those details are what transform a simple coin into a collectible treasure. And the most thrilling part of all is this: people are still finding them. Collectors still discover them in world coin lots, inherited collections, and antique shop trays. Every discovery reminds us of something remarkable. History often hides in the smallest objects. A coin barely larger than a quarter can carry decades of stories, and sometimes surprising value. So the next time you come across a foreign coin in your change or an old collection, don't ignore it. Pick it up, turn it slowly under the light, look at the date, 1968. Study the details of the lion and crown, because hidden within that small silver coin might be a rare variety that collectors are still searching for today. And the next life-changing discovery might not happen in a museum or an auction house. It might happen right at your kitchen table, when you finally decide to take a closer look at the coins you already have.